So if you missed the news, Nintendo is going to be bringing the GameCube Classics to the Nintendo Switch 2 at launch. So June 5th, when the Nintendo Switch 2 launches, we're going to be getting GameCube Classics, starting with 3 games: Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, we're getting one of the F-Zero games, and we're going to be getting Soul Calibur. So a pretty strong, start, I would say. Some pretty good games in there. I mean, Soul Calibur is a classic. Zelda is Zelda. But what we got information on is regarding a few different things. So I'm going to catch you up on some of the news if you missed it. I'll kind of speed run through that. Then we're going to get into some new information. So if you don't know, the GameCube classics, they're going to be also releasing the GameCube controller, a wireless version. This is what they've been doing for all the classics. They had the NES controller, the Super NES controller, the N64 controller, and they're always a wireless version of the controller kind of remade, which is really cool. They're doing the same thing with the GameCube, which kind of reminds me of the Wavebird on the GameCube back in the day. I don't know if you guys remember the Wavebird, but I had one of those, and it was, it was a third party, if I remember correctly, controller, but it was nice because it was wireless, right? So a wireless, obviously, GameCube controller is going to be nice, and people probably want to use it in Smash Bros. Ultimate, right? And maybe some other Switch games. So the question is, can we use it in those games? Well, Nintendo has actually come out and they've spoken about whether that's the case or not, and they kind of did it in a trailer for the GameCube Classics, but not any trailer. It's specifically the Nintendo UK trailer. So if you actually look towards the end of the trailer, there's like this fine print at the top middle that basically says the controller is only compatible with the Nintendo Switch GameCube Classics. The Nintendo Classics is what they say. This is specifically only in the GameCube Classics trailer from Nintendo UK for some reason. I don't know why. But what VGC reports, if you go take a look at VGC, because they were saying the same thing, right? They're saying like, well, Nintendo Switch 2 GameCube controller is only compatible with GameCube games, Nintendo says. But they noted something that is very worth noting, and that is the fact that they said, we've updated this article to note that Nintendo has made similar disclaimers with its previous retro controllers, the NES, Super NES, Sega, N64, which have ended up working with other Switch games. Every single one. So while there's no confirmation that the same will be the case with the GameCube controller, it does at least provide some hope that it will not be locked off, as Nintendo says, end quote. So I would say the exact same thing. It would not make sense if Nintendo would just be like, no, it's not going to work, especially for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. We have the kind of GameCube adapter to plug in wired GameCubes. We've had that since the Wii U, and that's really good, obviously, but a wireless controller is just a lot better. I don't like having wires all over the place. I have enough wires with my setup, I don't like it. So if I can eliminate some wires somewhere, that's great. I would like to get a wireless one and be able to use in Smash Bros. Ultimate. I would be extremely surprised if it's not going to be compatible, even though that trailer says that, like VGC notes. It's been said about all the other Nintendo Classics controllers, and they worked with other Switch games. Maybe not every Switch game, but at least some. I don't know. I haven't really done testing myself, but yeah, you'd hope so. And especially with, like, for example, Super Mario Sunshine, we have on 3D All-Stars on the Switch. It'd be nice if it would work with that as well. And, because again, it's wireless, and it would just be nice to be able to play that game, and at least that in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at the bare minimum. I'm willing to bet it's more likely than not. By the way, if you guys are enjoying this kind of content, be sure to consider leaving a like, subscribe for more. It really helps with the channel. We do a variety of Nintendo-based content, from guides and walkthroughs to news videos like this, and really, yeah, it's a great time. And if you guys are into that, stick around for more. Listen, in terms of Nintendo GameCube games, what classic games are actually going to be coming? We don't know, of course, the whole list. I mentioned the first 3 that are coming at launch, right? An F-Zero game. We're going to be getting Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, and we're going to be, of course, getting, what was the other one? Soul Calibur. But they also announced a few other games that we're going to be getting at some point as kind of time progresses, and that includes Super Mario Sunshine, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, Super Mario Strikers, Chibi Robo, Plug into Adventure, Luigi's Mansion, and a couple other ones like that, Pokemon Coliseum as well. Now, there's a couple in here that's worth noting. So people seeing Luigi's Mansion are like, well, does that mean we're never going to get a Luigi's Mansion HD, which we just got Luigi's Mansion 2 HD on the Switch. And then also, Super Mario Sunshine is like, well, it's part of the 3D All-Stars pack, so, maybe we're going to get it, at some point. That said, the 3D All-Stars pack, of course, with that is, it was a limited time game, right? With 3D All-Stars on the Switch, which is still confusing to me. But anyways, all that to say, does that mean there's hope for Luigi's Mansion HD. And again, Wind Waker is the big topic that we're talking about. And there's something that Nintendo actually came out and spoke about. And it's kind of funny timing because a few days ago, I was kind of sitting here writing down, video ideas. And one of the video ideas I wrote was that exact thing. Is there still hope for Wind Waker HD with Wind Waker coming to the GameCube Classics? That's a thought that a lot of people, I think, have on their minds. And I think what I was going to say, if I had made that video, which I guess is turning into this video, but now we have official information regarding this one way or the other. I was going to say, I think there's a good chance. It's Nintendo. They do this kind of thing all the time. I don't see it eliminating the possibility of it happening. But again, we have some official information, or a little bit more official information that we can kind of dig into, which is coming from Nintendo Everything, which is coming from Tim Geddes of Kind of Funny. So basically, what Nintendo Everything is saying, they're saying Tim Geddes of Kind of Funny Games was recently able to get hands-on with the new system during a press event. He also spoke with a representative and asked about the status of Wind Waker HD. Obviously Wind Waker launching on Nintendo Switch 2, but that's through Nintendo Switch Online with the new edition of GameCube Classics. This is what Tim Geddes said, quote, "I did ask if having the Wind Waker on Nintendo Switch Online precludes it from Switch 2 getting the actual Wii U port at some point. And he was very quick to say, no, all options are on the table. All options are on the table. Now, obviously, this, nothing is confirmed one way or the other." End quote. Very interesting to say the very least, because again, I don't think this eliminates the possibility of it happening. I really don't. I think this is just maybe something that kind of like tied people over until they finally do release it. Nintendo has been releasing sort of a one Zelda kind of game every single year, and I say Zelda kind of game because that also includes Hyrule Warriors. There's years where we had nothing else but a Hyrule Warriors game, and they include that, but their pattern has been something Zelda game related every single year, either a mainline game, an HD, like for example Skyward Sword HD, or something like a Hyrule Warriors game, right? And now we're getting a brand new Hyrule Warriors game coming this winter. Now, is that going to be next year, like winter in like 2026, or is it going to be the tail end in 2025? I think they said winter 2025, but still, things that get pushed off. If so, that's going to be our Zelda game for the year. And so we're probably not going to see a Wind Waker HD or Twilight Princess HD this year. We might see it next year. Now, here's my hope that I think is very plausible, right? Because here's the thing you got to understand. When it comes to the Wii U games, Nintendo has ported almost every single other first-party game from the Wii U over to the Switch. And the most recent one that they just did literally about 2 or 3 weeks ago was Xenoblade Chronicles X. It was one of the last ones beside Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD to get ported over. We've got even Pokken Tournament early on in the Switch life cycle, right? We've got Super Mario World or whatever. Obviously, they gave a little additional content with that, with Bowser's Fury. We've pretty much gotten everything. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. I mean, everything has pretty much come over. Besides Twilight Princess HD and Wind Waker HD, which are the ones that I think people want the most. Okay, Xenoblade Chronicles X was pretty high up on a lot of people's list as well, but Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD arguably might be even higher. I mean, at least for me. But I think this is the case. I'll end it with this. I think this is what may happen, which is better in the long run. We wanted it for so long. It has been years. We've been saying, oh, guys, Nintendo, come on, Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess, bring it over. They never did it. Switch 1, it's just a 1080p console. The Switch 2 is a 4K console. Maybe the fact that they never released it on the Switch 1 is going to mean that we're going to get a 4K version. At the very least, it's going to be upscaled, but I'm hoping they're going to give it the same treatment that they're doing at least with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, this kind of Nintendo Switch 2 edition, where it's a little bit more than just an upscale. They're actually, making it native 4K, 60 FPS, better textures and details and things like that, right? Better lighting, HDR, all that good stuff. So I'm hoping that that's kind of what's taking them a little bit longer. Can you imagine, especially Wind Waker? I mean, it's beautiful. You're cruising on the blue oceans, in 4K, the new kind of vibrancy that the Switch 2 offers, and the coloration with HDR and all these lighting and NVIDIA confirmed there's ray tracing and other capabilities in the Switch 2 like that. So, I mean, that would be amazing. And I would be listen, I'm glad we never got it on the Switch 1, because that means we get a better game in the long run. And then Twilight Princess HD, my favorite game of all time. I mean, those two games are amazing. So I'll leave it at that. I'm gonna say that there is definitely hope. There is no way Nintendo, like, they hear the fans too on top of that. And as much as people think like they don't listen to fans at all, to some extent, I think they do take into consideration, you know, fans' requests. I think for a while people had wanted Skyward Sword HD, right? It was a fun game on the Wii, but it was a little clunky on the Wii. And you know, I think, you know, people really wanted that, and Nintendo eventually did it. They knew that, you know, fans would appreciate that. And they know, like, this is something, you know, that people would want, and they probably already plan to do it anyway. So I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. And like they said, all options are on the table. And again, I'm holding out for like that hope of like 4K 60 kind of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. You know, oh man, that'd be amazing. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm just gonna go off on a tangent, kind of, you know, thinking about those versions of those games if I keep going. So I'll end it here. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe for more, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Till the next one, game on. Catch you guys later.